Hi everyone, it's Urmi and Sanjay from Jetsetting with us.
Welcome to Mount Rainier National Park in Washington State. In this episode, we're going to take you to the Paradise and Sunrise regions of the park, and we're going to go on some awesome stops including Myrtle Falls, Glacier Vista, and a killer hike around Dege Peak.
Mount Rainier is absolutely stunning. Towering glaciers, wildflower meadows, and beautiful alpine terrain just within driving distance of Seattle. But here's the thing, Rainier isn't easy to figure out. The park is huge, the drives are long, and conditions can change super fast even in July.
If you're planning a visit, or if you just want to see what it actually feels like to hike here in the early summer, you're in the right place. And if you like travel videos like this one, where we're not going to just show you the views but help you actually plan your trip, hit that like button and definitely subscribe. We've got lots of videos like this coming up soon.
Let's start with how to get here, where we stayed, and what you should know before you make your way into the park. Mount Rainier is basically split into 3 core sections, and this matters because they are not close together. Longmire is near the park's southwestern entrance. It's where the National Park Inn is, and it's a quieter area with some short hikes and the park museum. Paradise is the most popular spot. Think wildflower meadows, dramatic glacier views, and iconic trails like Skyline. You'll also find Paradise in here. Then there's Sunrise on the northeast side of the park. It's the highest point you can drive to with huge mountain views and fewer crowds. But it's also a long drive from anywhere. There's no lodging in this area.
Getting to Mount Rainier National Park is pretty straightforward, but you'll want to plan your timing. From Seattle Airport, it's a roughly 2.5-hour drive to the Longmire entrance, which puts you close to the Paradise area. We actually stayed in Longmire at the National Park Inn on the park grounds. So this is the room, and it's obviously not got a whole lot. This is just a corner here where I am. But got a nice queen bed. Not every room has a private shower. We happen to get one with a private bathroom, which of course costs a lot more money. There's no Wi-Fi inside the hotel, so just be aware. They said there's a museum within walking distance of here, and that place has Wi-Fi, but we didn't check it out just yet. We just came right to the hotel. So it's not a big room, but the big reason you would book this is so you don't wait in the 45-minute to 2-hour line to get into the park. So just keep that in mind if you decide to book inside the hotel. By the way, National Park Inn also has a restaurant on site which serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can also order in advance to have a lunch to go, which they'll have packed and ready for you early in the morning if you're staying at the hotel. Furthermore, we found they were quite good at accommodating dietary restrictions, like for us, we're vegetarians. But if you're going to plan to have dinner there, make sure you book a reservation in advance as they can get quite crowded. We thought the food quality was pretty good.
The other in-park option is Paradise Inn, which is located up by the Paradise trailheads. The main advantage of staying at Paradise Inn is that you're already parked at the Paradise parking lot, which is otherwise a total zoo.
Just to give an example, when we were there, which was actually slightly before peak season, we could circulate that Paradise parking lot for an hour looking for a spot. And on that note, even just getting into the park during peak season can take up to 2 hours just to show your card or pay your entry fee to get into the park. So staying on site is really a big time saver, especially if you only have a couple of days to explore the park.
It was about 4 p.m. by the time we checked into the National Park Inn, and we didn't want to commit ourselves to anything too lengthy or intense at that point in the day. So we opted for some shorter, more scenic trails in the Paradise area just to get our legs moving and to take in the stellar views of Mount Rainier.
First up, Myrtle Falls. If you've ever seen a postcard of Mount Rainier, there's a good chance it was taken right here. This trail is short, paved, and incredibly popular, so don't expect solitude. But the payoff is beautiful. A classic waterfall in the foreground with Rainier towering right behind it, assuming the clouds cooperate. From there, we made our way over to Nisqually Vista Trail, a super manageable loop, no hiking poles required, and which has surprisingly great glacier views. So we're in the Nisqually Loop Trail, and we just had to stop and take this video here. This looks awesome. This is just a superb view, and compared to some of the other trails, like the Myrtle Lake Trail, like that trail was just a zoo. I think every person in the park was on that trail and there was nobody on this trail. It's super easy and it's totally paved. So if it's up your alley to do something that's maybe a little bit on the easier side and with no crowds, and quite frankly, I think the views from this side are actually better than what you got in the Myrtle Lake Trail.
After the hike, we headed back to Longmire to eat dinner and rest up for our big day in paradise. But the most relaxing part of the evening, taking in the evening light over Mount Rainier. Unreal. I really wish I got a picture of it.
On day 2, we made our way back over to Paradise to hike one of the park's most iconic trails, Skyline Trail. En route, we made a quick stop at Narra Falls. This is super easy to access right off the main road and is arguably one of the most beautiful falls in the entire park. After spending an hour looking for a parking spot, we finally found a hidden one and set out for Skyline Trail. So we're right at the beginning of Skyline Trail where it meets with Alta Vista Trail. And this is supposed to be a pretty strenuous hike. It says like 1,400 to maybe 1,700 feet of elevation gain. So we're gonna try to go up to Panoramic Point, and if we're feeling like it's a little bit too much for us, we might stop over at Glacier Vista Point instead.
This is for sure one of the most scenic hikes we've ever done. Alpine meadows, views for miles, and Rainier just towering over you the whole way.
All right, so we didn't quite make it all the way to Panoramic Point, but we did make it most of the way. The rest of the trail is pretty icy, and we don't really want to do that. We don't have the proper gear with crampons and all that stuff, but basically we got these awesome views up here, and we got Mount Rainier. We can even see St. Helens. That's the volcano that erupted back in 1980. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's that mountain all the way in the back there, kind of like right in the middle of the screen right now. And then you can see 2 other big mountains here. One is Mountain Hood. It's actually screened by a closer hill over there. And then the one on the left side, all the way in the back, that's Mount Adams. We were told by some locals on the trail too. This is a great hike. Really glad we did this. Certainly the views are amazing. This was much better than what we saw in North Cascades, I felt like. So the only other thing I would offer is that if you come in August, the snow might be melted. So if you're not the type of person that wants to do the ice hikes, you know, with the ice picks and the crampons and all that stuff, it might be a better time to come maybe in later July or even in August when the snow's all melted. After finishing the Glacier Vista hike on Skyline Trail, we made one last stop before heading back, Reflection Lakes. On a clear, still day, this spot gives you that perfect mirror view of Mount Rainier. It's right off the road, super accessible, even if you're not up for a full hike. There's a trail there called Snow Lake Trail. We started going on this for about 5 minutes, but the mosquitoes were going crazy and Ormy said there was no way.
You know, nature is beautiful until it tries to eat you alive. On the 3rd day, we packed up our stuff and made our way over to Sunrise, which is on the other side of Mount Rainier, and it's not a quick trip. From Paradise alone, it takes about an hour and a half to get there, and that's without any construction delays. Unfortunately for us, we actually hit a delay on the way out, and it added another 30 minutes to our journey.
So if you're headed to Sunrise, plan for delays and leave early. And here's a pro tip for you, bring some snacks as well. The Sunrise Visitor Center was actually closed when we got there because they said they had some hiccups training their seasonal staff ahead of peak season. There is a little shop there that has some basic snacks like M&Ms and Kit Kat, as well as some pre-made sandwiches, but it's nothing like the hot food and other well-stocked areas that you'll see within the Paradise Visitor Center.
We spoke with a ranger at Sunrise who said that the area attracts people who are more into hiking, and that definitely felt true. The trails here weren't paved like they were at Paradise. The whole area felt a little more rugged and a little bit more remote, and that's likely because of how difficult it is to get to.
Don't get us wrong, it's still very popular, but the vibe is definitely quieter than it was at Paradise. I was exhausted, but Ormy said, you know what, we're here, so let's go do the hard hike up to Dege Peak. This trail runs along a ridgeline, so you're getting alpine views almost immediately and throughout the entire hike. It's not super steep, but it's exposed the entire way. Bring sun protection and water, especially if you're hiking midday. So we're at the top of this peak and we basically get 360 views all the way around. And it looks beautiful. The hardest part was right at the end of the hike, but totally worth it. And if you really wanted to do like a savage soda hike or semi-savage, you can also come down here and then continue the hike another 1.2 miles out to Sunrise Point. So we got some great, it might be where that lake is, I'm not sure, I'm just guessing. or maybe where that parking lot is, I don't know. So, but this is great. You can see all around, and this was definitely totally worth the hike. And at our pace, and we're not that fast, took us from the parking lot at the Sunrise Visitor Center up here, took us an hour and 15 minutes to do the, wasn't sure if it was 1.6 or 2.1 miles. We got disparate information, but it's looking great. So definitely recommend this hike if you make it out to Sunrise. And I'll also add, by the way, that there was basically nobody else on this trail. It was pretty empty. Not so empty that it's like scary if you hurt yourself, but it was pretty empty, and especially compared to Paradise, where it was just a zoo the entire time. This was pretty great. So definitely would recommend coming out to Dege Peak and trying out the hike here.
Next, here are our pro tips for you to know when you start planning your trip out to Mount Rainier National Park. First up, timed entry reservations. In order to control traffic and parking, many national parks require you to book a reservation in advance of arrival. Mount Rainier started this in 2024, and in 2025, they still have this enabled for the Sunrise area. We highly recommend looking into this many months in advance of your national park trip to ensure you have the proper reservations in place before you go visit that park.
We actually forgot to do that for this trip, and it just so happened that we showed up just 3 or 4 days before they were going to start that timed entry reservation for our trip. We got super lucky. Second, Sunrise and Paradise are quite far apart from each other, about 90 minutes without construction traffic. Because of this, you might want to treat these as 2 separate days of your trip. You may also wish to consider what your lodging situation should be if you're going to go to both of these areas on the same trip. Third, expect construction delays. A simple 90-minute drive from Paradise to Sunrise can morph into 2 hours or even 2.5 hours, depending on what construction is like.
Fourth, trails are likely to still have snow and ice on them well into July, especially at higher altitudes. If you're planning to do hikes at higher altitudes, such as the Skyline Trail, you may consider bringing micro spikes for better traction while you're on these trails.
Fifth, bugs here are no joke. We got swarmed outside of Reflection Lakes at the Snow Lake Trail. Me usually prefers to use bug spray, and I prefer to have long sleeves. So whatever you prefer, just don't forget to bring that on this trip.
Number 6, don't forget to download those offline maps. Yes, we say this in every video, but that's how important this one is. Be sure to download them because, true to many other national parks, there is very limited to no cell service at Mount Rainier. Although, we did catch some service up at Paradise. So if you want something, that's going to be your spot. Otherwise, you're going to be off the grid for a few days.
Finally, number 7, pack a car picnic, especially if your accommodations are outside the park. Food is super expensive. I'm talking about like $10 for a slice of pizza the size of my hand. So even though there are options within the park, if you want to save a little bit of money, just think about bringing your own food. So here's our overall opinion. Urmi and I loved this park, and Urmi even puts it in her top 5. It's got a little bit of something for everybody. Beautiful mountain views, waterfalls, easy hikes, hard hikes, and accommodations right within the park boundaries. The only thing missing is wildlife, but the views of the landscapes are so awesome, we were happy to do without that.
There's still so much we didn't get to see, but we're so happy we got to spend a little bit of time in both Paradise and Sunrise and get a feel for what each side of the park really is like. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and share with your friends. It really helps us grow our channel.
And if you like scenic hikes, national parks, or just travel with a real-world lens, be sure to subscribe. We've got a lot more coming. And if you've been to Mount Rainier National Park, be sure to leave a comment below. What did you like and what did you dislike? Or if you're planning a trip and need help, also leave a comment and we'll be sure to respond.
We look forward to seeing you on our next adventure. Bye for now.